Amidst increased tensions along the line of actual control between India and China, and even as both sides continue to be engaged in a de-escalation exercise while agreeing to not increase troop deployment along the line of actual control, there are satellite images that have gone ahead and showcased PLA's deployments in Golmund Air Base, where China has deployed strategic long-range bombers. And this is at least 1,150 kilometers from Doklam and the line of actual control along India's northeast. Indian forces are prepared for all kinds of exigencies in Ladakh as well, including scenarios where China decides to backtrack on commitments. Now, the Indian forces along the border are alert to the highest level, and while the IAF has already deployed Mirage 2000s and MiG-29s, India's latest Omni-role fighter jets are also conducting familiarization sorties in the region and have been flying from Ambala to Ladakh to get themselves familiarized with the terrain. Now, IAF has also increased alertness and preparedness in the region as both the Army and the IAF prepare for the long haul. The Chinese Air Force, along the line of actual control, seem to be on the back foot. All right, so that's the debate that we are going to be discussing. Major General Shashi Asthana will be joining me shortly on the broadcast. But let me go straight away to Group Captain Vian Jha. Welcome on the show, sir.
Thank you.
Big developments are taking place even as we speak. What is surprising to understand is that we have been time and again speculating when it comes to China, and what it says and what it does are completely separate things. What Chinese mouthpiece has now gone ahead and showcased and said in one of its articles is that India cannot be trusted with when it comes to troop de-escalation and disengagement. What do you make of that?
Well, it is all too familiar on the world stage now. Entire world knows that China says something and does something exactly opposite. It has been happening time and again. But today we are discussing this, that China has said this, where it itself is the perpetrator. But I'm wondering, what stops India to name and shame China, if not every day, on every occason where they are...
Well, I say what every occasion, I say we should do it every single day, and our propaganda, anti-China propaganda machinery is perhaps a little more lax than what we would like to have ideally, because Chinese are on the forefront, churning out anti-India news at the drop of a hat.
Absolutely. Look, propaganda is one thing, but the facts, telling facts is something different. From day one, it is not the Indian propaganda, it is the Indian facts that Chinese have come to our place. Chinese have transgressed LAC. Chinese have violated all those agreements of 93 and onwards. So Chinese have been doing it, but can you remember how many times our Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson has come onto the either national or international stage and named and shamed China? No, you will seldom remember any such things. But China does every time on all platforms. They will try and show India that India is at the fault. India is doing all these things. But we fail to understand why is our Ministry of External Affairs mum onto this. As far as the fighter deployment is concerned, we know the Chinese have deployed the fighters also. They have got their air base, and it is our own right that our own fighter pilots, maybe Su-30 or maybe other aircraft, they all must get familiarized to this entire terrain, because the Chinese are hiding in smaller pockets to avoid detection. So these familiarization sortie of the terrain and of their positions are mandatory. And also remember, every time that these aircraft, these are the air dominance aircraft, every time it makes a pass through, it detects every radar radiations.
Right.
So it detects all those things, it detects the IR positions, all those things continues happening in every sortie. So it is mandatory, but I'm still very firm that our Ministry of External Affairs has to be a little more aggressive than what it is right now.
Sumit, you want to come in on this? Should we go the Trump way, being very direct and calling out China when it needs to be called out, and perhaps not even associating ourselves with any of these fora till the time Chinese go ahead and de-escalate and disengage. Two of these very important words that were missing from the joint statement that had been issued very recently, just 2 days ago.
I think, Meghaji, the point here is that Chinese cannot be trusted. Whatever they say, whatever they claim, whatever they write, they read, they can even give you if they give you something written in stone. Do not trust them. That is
but this is what the entire world knows. But what China is doing is now CCP is doing is playing the reverse, role reversal. They are doing exactly the same. What the world knows about it. That they are saying that India cannot be trusted and the United States cannot be trusted. How does it play out, and how should we curtail it and go ahead and stop China over here?
You see, trust and China are oxymorons. China and trust do not exist. They cannot be on the same planet Earth. They do not exist together. And the whole world knows that, because that is how the autocracies and the communist dictatorships like China work. So US and India are the biggest democracy and the oldest democracy. So hitting us and calling us names is what they will do. But my point is that when the Honorable Prime Minister goes to Ladakh and makes a statement, when our External Affairs Minister Jaishankar ji makes a statement, it is very well directed to China. Who else do we have a face-off on? Who else shares a border with us on LAC? So in diplomatic in diplomatic terms, naming or not naming China is not important, but teaching China a lesson. We have stopped their wheels of aggression in Ladakh. The fact is, for last 5 months, they have been able to do nothing. They have not been able to take an inch of our land.
Absolutely.
The world has seen India breaking the facade of China. But the world has seen India dismantling PLA and CCP's propaganda. They are invincible. India cannot stand down. We have shown the world how resilient India is, and if we want, we can stop anybody, let it be China or any goddamn power on this country. And what does the Honorable Prime Minister say, ma'am? I'm repeating it on the 5th time. When he went to the Leh, he said, when he was addressing, who was he addressing? Turkmenistan, Azerbaijan, Armenia, Chile? No, he was addressing China, and he said very clearly, we are disciples of Lord Krishna. He carries flute, that is the instrument of peace. But the same Lord Krishna carries Sudarshan Chakra, that is the most lethal weapon. So the message is very clear to China, and he categorically says expansionism cannot work on this earth. The days are gone. Now, who is trying to take our land? Obviously, it is not a country from Latin America or South America. It is the China. The message is to China. The discussions are happening with China, and it is not important do you name or not, but karma is more important. The fact of the matter is our dharma and karma has prevented them. We have stopped China in its fields. They are not able to take an inch of our land. That's a fact of life. And Meghaji, they never estimated it. They thought India is the same, where they will have a walkthrough. This salami slicing doctrine will work. Their experience was that India will not resist, will be cowed down, and the most potent weapon in Chinese armor is propaganda. And we have blunted the propaganda. See the outcome. Japan doing a military pact with you. Maldives doing a military pact with US. French defense minister coming for the induction of Rafales. Israelis giving you what you want. Russians giving you arms and ammunition what you want. So the world is clearly aligning behind us, because we have stood by our resolve. We have stood by our commitment, and nobody less than the Prime Minister of India goes to the Ladakh and says, here I am, and here I am saying this is my land. Every inch of this land belongs to me, and we have every Indian who's out there. I have my men who can protect this, and we have shown them in Galwan. Why is China hiding 106 graves of Galwan? Why doesn't China give them a martyr's death? We salute our braves. We respect the people of Galwan. We are humbled with them. Why does China's CCP need to hide those 106 graves? This is the difference. This is what India is about.
Yes, this is the reality of China. The entire world knows it, and it is obviously playing against the Chinese module of going ahead and saying something but doing exactly the opposite. And Shashi Asthana, if I could bring you in the discussion right now, the latest set of developments that have taken place, perhaps not a worrying sign, but at the end of the day, we need to be making sure what China is doing, because the Golmand Air Base along the line of actual control has now been deployed by PLA troops. This comes just a couple of days ago when there was a statement that had been issued, a joint statement that had been issued by India and China after the military level talks, the co-commander level talks that had happened, where both the parties had gone ahead and said that the troops from either side are going to go ahead and de-escalate. They are going to retreat. What do you make of this fresh development that has taken place? And not just that, ever since 2017 Doklam standoff, there are a number of these air bases and a number of these helipads that have been constructed on a very fast pace along the entire line of actual control, right from Aksai Chin all the way to Arunachal Pradesh.
The helipad construction, airstrip construction is part of infrastructure development which China, with the expansionist design, has always been doing. Now, without getting into rhetoric, let me put some facts on ground. Firstly, everybody knows, I think, in the country and in the world that China cannot be trusted. So, therefore, whatever diplomatic niceties are happening, they be apart. As far as we as professionals are concerned, we have to be ready for everything. And everything means that whether they de-escalate or they don't, whether they go back or they don't, we have to keep exploring options to ensure that we put more pressure than what we have done so far. Secondly, as far as the Air Force is concerned, we also have to learn lessons from history. Now, in 1962, the air power was not used in offensive role because at that time the politicians thought that we will annoy China beyond a limit. And that's why our troops suffered and suffered greatly. This time we are a little cautious in a manner that our offensive, our Air Force and air power and our pilots are doing familiarization rounds. At the same time, these flights are also indicating that we have 100% intention of using Air Force in an offensive manner should the situation so demand. So this is the message as far as the Air Force is concerned. As far as infrastructure development is concerned, we continued the infrastructure development notwithstanding what was signed on paper and notwithstanding what was being talked of. So our infrastructure development also never stopped. So that was the second lesson which we learned.
Yeah.
That keep the talks and keep their whatever promises they make, they keep that aside, do what you are supposed to professionally do.
Absolutely.
Next point I want to make is that as far as the situation in LAC is concerned, we should not go for a quick fix solution. A quick fix solution, a number of them were taken in past and we unfortunately landed upon the wrong side of the history for the reason because perhaps we believed too much. Now at this point of time we are very certain and certainly the professionals are very certain that there is no question of believing and therefore we will leave no chance. The fourth point I want to make is now the trend of the build-up as well as the trend of the standoff will change from tactical side to logistic side. As the winters approach, the side which is better prepared logistically will have an upper edge. And therefore now we are concentrating on logistics. We also have much better capability to sustain winters and certainly we should not give a easy exit to China because China is looking for an easy exit. Now you see these 2 points, refrain from unilateral change of status quo and stop sending troops from front line.
Right.
Now these 2 things which have been signed is basically what he is saying is he has already dumped enough, he has already gone well inside and hereafter he says no, please don't bring more troops.
Absolutely.
This is exactly what he is trying to say.
Yes.
Now we have to decode it in our terms and therefore act appropriately and professionally. So this is what I mean to say as far as the talks are concerned. Yes, diplomatic niceties, talks will have to continue. There is no doubt about it. We don't want to give an impression to the entire world that okay, we are not there for talks or we are stubborn or we are aggressive or something like that. So talks is fine. Whether they will believe or not, we assume that they will not do anything, whatever they have spoken.
Absolutely. I get your point. You've made your point amply clear. Dr. Vienja, coming over here and let's take this further. What he said is that now China is looking for an easy exit point. What has happened on August 30th, where India has gone ahead and overpowered the Chinese in these the southern bank of Pangong. We talk, taking over the strategic control of Rezangla, taking strategic control of Rechingla, Mukpari. this is what China is extremely upset about, and that's why China has now gone ahead and utilize its media channels, spreading that what India says and does are two separate things, and obviously that is going to hurt China immensely. And we've done a fantastic job of it at being on top of things this time around, and not acting what had happened back in June, what had happened back in May. China is trying to now going ahead, looking to recede itself from the line of actual control. The winters are going to be extremely harsh, and none of the sides want to lose out on their troops because of the climatic conditions. The Depsang Plain issue continues to remain because the Chinese had been in our territory even before May. So what's the strategic plan that we are going to play ahead? Especially because over here in Arunachal there have been news coming in, they are going to retreat, we understand. Pangong, so south north, they are going to go ahead and retreat. But Depsang is something that is extremely strategic, extremely important, and they have continued to put up base over there, and they are much more enhanced when it comes to their military bases, when it comes to their police stations and men and arms that have been deployed over there. How do we go ahead and tackle that area and make China go back, because rightfully that area belongs to us?
Extremely good question, very relevant you have asked. Just now General Asthana had explained onto the getting away from it, looking for an exit. I have slight different view onto this. You have to see the perspective, why China is there and why India is there. China is there because they wanted to take away our land, and they also wanted to make the access of their trust so that they can cut away the access to DBO OD and thereafter to the passes. So that was the objective of China. Whereas Indian objective is there that we will not let you come. There are two things here also in Indian perspective. One is getting every inch of land free to the China, and secondly, we will not let you march. So not let you march from the other side, that is the Pangong area or the Chushul or the Demchok area. It is for sure now they will not be able to trust us easily. It will not be possible for them. But the Depsang Plateau is a altogether different ball game, because they have been sitting there right since 2013. You may remember in 2013 they occupied almost entire 900 odd square miles of Depsang Plateau, and they came to Daulat Beg Oldie and sat down there with their camp almost about 3 weeks, and then they were persuaded to go back by the Indian side. So this has been having happened. Even now I understand that quite substantial area of land in the Depsang Plateau is with them, and on top of that they are sitting onto the vantage position onto the ridges to the road, and they are causing a substantial threat to our movement. So that is something where we have to get them thrown out from there. How it is being done, that time will tell us, but that is one clear objective right now, that having secured our LAC onto the Pangong area and the Demchok area, this Depsang area and the DBO OLD is the one which is right now the top priority, because our troops must have clear access and the Chinese must be thrown out from all those regions, because they are posing threat to our convoy even with a small arm fire.
Absolutely.
That cannot be permitted. Any person will tell you that cannot be permitted. And last word, that look, Chinese cannot penetrate now into the India because they don't have the numerous security. For General Asthana will tell you, to overrun you need 1:3 numbers that they don't have. It is a very minor changes in the number, so they cannot just thrust into the Indian line. So the status quo right now, what is there, can be continued maintaining, but the final objective is that our troops must get access to DBO Old D Road and the entire stretch.
Absolutely. I think you make a very pertinent point, and so do the rest of the panelists who have joined me on the broadcast. Unfortunately, I have only this much time to go ahead and discuss this in detail. The next ideal step for India obviously is to, we have already secured the areas when it comes to Arunachal Pradesh, when it comes to the line of actual control, the southern bank of Pangong. So the pain point being the Depsang Plains. And now afterwards, once the Chinese are completely pushed out, and that's exactly going to be happening in the coming months and the coming years, what what is also important is to go ahead and secure Tibet, because at the end of the day, Tibet is the mid-ground between which China and India have been fighting. It had to be recognized earlier. Perhaps it's not too late even now. Tibet needs to be recognized. The Tibetan people and administration need to be set up over there. So there's a government that is set up over there. And then Tibet needs to be certainly fortified in terms of infrastructure, in terms of military supplements and development that is going to take place. This is the only way to go ahead and further push China into its own territory.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.